But this year in 2022, we were in about 26 cities across 9 states. I take that back.
Wow.
Yeah, we had one state sneak in at the very end there, which we're famous for that too. We always make it happen. But 50 plus thousand meals in that many number of cities and states with a group of people that are 100% volunteer. I have no paid employees. Nobody gets a dime from what we do, and we've been that way since the beginning. It was actually started by a real good friend of mine, Richard Bagdonis, and he went to a friend's house on Thanksgiving and had their meal, had their fun, and he plated up some food. There's always leftovers. You always make way too much food for Thanksgiving. So he plated up a plate of food, and he was on his way home, and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this plate to somebody. So he sat there and he drove around downtown Austin for a little while looking for somebody to give it to. He pulled up in front of what used to be a pool hall, Buffalo Billiards, and there was a guy sitting there in a wheelchair, and he went to go hand him the food, and the guy just never responded. And eventually the guy sitting next to him said, if you leave the plate of food there, I'll feed him when he gets up. He's deaf. He can't hear.
Wow.
And so Richard left that plate of food there. He went back to his car, he cried and said, I wanted to do more. You know, if he had 2 meals, he would have left 2, one for the guy that would have fed him 2. So the next year, he doubled his efforts. He went out and he took 2 meals out. The next year, he took 4 meals, 8 meals, 16, 32. Then it jumped up to something like 400 or 500 meals and 1,000 meals. And then in 2010, Richard had grown the organization to about 2,000 volunteers, 4,000 meals, had 2 locations here in Austin, and it was, picking up some steam. Well, one day he called me up and asked me to go to dinner, and went to dinner with him, and he got me drunk, and he asked me if I'd run Operation Turkey.
That's the model. That's the
very targeted move there that he did, Get him drunk and then ask him. So.
Awesome.
But we used to be at a bar here on 6th Street, and the bar is close to Congress. And it would be amazing when you would walk outside and everything's going and stuff, and you're looking to see how many delivery drivers you got. And all the way down 6th Street, I think 6th Street is 4 lanes wide, if I'm not mistaken. All 4 lanes is just a sea of cars that are ready to go feed these people.
Wow.
So
I get chills just imagining
it's
that.
crazy.
Yeah.
And then
especially what 6 is known for.
Exactly. Exactly.
You're gonna go serve Austin. It's so
exactly.
Cool.
And so
What started over 15 years ago as one meal delivered to one man in need on Thanksgiving Day has turned into 500,000 people served since. Today we're sitting down with an incredible human being named Brian Tolbert, who is the leader of an organization called Operation Turkey, where all 30,000 workers, including the board, are volunteers. Be sure to like and subscribe so that we can continue to bring more stories to you just like these. And here's Brian. Thanksgiving now.
Yeah,
right?
It wasn't too long ago.
Yeah, very recent. The Super Bowl of your year.
It is. It's a very big time of year. Very big time.
So how did it go? What happened?
You spend all year getting prepared for that one day out of the year, getting those wins, getting those losses. Everything seems to be shaping up right at the last moment, as it always does with Operation Turkey. And then the Monday, the week of Thanksgiving, I get sick.
Yeah,
crazy. Got the flu, and it put me down.
It's brutal, man.
Whenever I get sick, I go down hard. I'm worse than a baby.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, it's pretty harsh, and especially being around me. So when I went down, I called my buddy Richard up, and I was like, "Hey, man, so I think I just got the flu, and I think I might need some help from you to, kind of help move things along and keep them going and stuff." And he was like, "You know what? I got the flu too."
No way, I didn't even know that.
2 of us were down. 2 of us were down for Thanksgiving. So I called everyone up, told them what was going on, all of my different leaders, and they got together and they worked it out. Wow. I was able to lay on the couch for 4 grueling days. I knew how things were going. Everybody was telling me I was able to contribute by writing a couple of emails, but other than that, I was down for the count, and they pulled it off. They fed over 50,000 people this year.
It's unbelievable. Well, for somebody who's not familiar with Operation Turkey, just give me the rundown for a second. So what's the scale and scope of this now? You said you're in more than 20 cities?
So this year in 2022, I had to think of what year this was. But this year in 2022, we were in about 26 cities across 9 states. I take that back.
Wow.
Yeah, we had one state sneak in at the very end there, which we're famous for that too. We always make it happen. But 50,000+ meals in that many number of cities and states with a group of people that are 100% volunteer. I have no paid employees. Nobody gets a dime from what we do, and we've been that way since the beginning.
It's unbelievable. You included, right? I mean, the entire organization. You said your board.
Nobody gets paid. I don't get a single dime out of this. I don't want a dime out of this. This is, my time and energy that gets put into this, and that's what I want into it. And I think it gets the best of me and what I can do.
Yeah. It's phenomenal. It's hard for me to wrap my mind around like the scale and scope on the other side of it.
Yeah,
Thinking about everybody at every level, doing this because of the meaning and purpose behind it.
Exactly. You might be sitting there volunteering next to the janitor, but the janitor's no better than the CEO at a company and stuff. You come into the building and it's dirty, you're not going to be happy. Mm-hmm. So he keeps things going. He does his part, and he makes all of this happen. I've got some CEOs on my board. I've got the former sheriff on my board. Like, I've got all this incredible talent that brings so much to the table.
Walk me backwards for a second to the beginning of Operation Turkey. Is Austin the first city?
Yes, you're right. Okay. So Austin was the very first city for Operation Turkey. It was actually started by a real good friend of mine, Richard Bagdonis, and he went to a friend's house on a Thanksgiving and had their meal, had their fun, and he plated up some food. There's always leftovers. You always make way too much food for Thanksgiving. So he plated up a plate of food, and he was on his way home, and he was like, you know what? I'm going to give this plate to somebody. So he sat there and he drove around downtown Austin for a little while looking for somebody to give it to. He pulled up in front of what used to be a pool hall, Buffalo Billiards, and there was a guy sitting there in a wheelchair, and he went to go hand him the food, and the guy just never responded. And eventually the guy sitting next to him said, if you leave the plate of food there, I'll feed him when he gets up. He's deaf. Okay. He can't hear.
Wow.
And so Richard left that plate of food there. He went back to his car, he cried and said, I wanted to do more. If he had 2 meals, he would have left 2, one for the guy that would have fed him 2. So the next year, he doubled his efforts. He went out and he took 2 meals out. The next year, he took 4 meals, 8 meals, 16, 32. Then it jumped up to something like 400 or 500 meals and 1,000 meals. And then in 2010, Richard had grown the organization to about 2,000 volunteers, 4,000 meals, had 2 locations here in Austin, and it was, picking up some steam. Well, one day he called me up and asked me to go to dinner, and went to dinner with him, and he got me drunk, and he asked me if I'd run Operation Turkey.
That's the model.
Very targeted move there that he did, Get him drunk and then ask him. So. Awesome. When you asked me that question, I immediately thought back in my mind to when I was a little kid. And when I was a little kid, my family would cook way too much food. We had a big family, and somehow we'd still manage to cook way too much food. So I would always be tasked with carrying to-go plates of food to different people in our little town of Bastrop. And thought about how pissed off I was when I was that little kid, because I'm out here walking the railroad tracks delivering meals to people when I should be home playing Atari.
Yeah.
I did say Atari. I dated myself there.
That's awesome.
But I should be home playing a freaking video game, not out here walking this food down the railroad tracks. And, I thought back to that and how much I did it, and it actually felt good to help somebody out. And it took me about 3 seconds to say yes. So from there, I did my first year with Operation Turkey in 2010, and we fed 4,000 people with 2,000 volunteers. And the very next year that I did Operation Turkey, somebody that lives in St. Marcus and was going to school at Texas State called me up and was like, hey, I'm the sheriff's niece's cousin's daughter's whatever, and like, okay. Like, well, what do you need? And he said that I want to start Operation Turkey in St. Marcus.
Wow.
I'm like, okay, we got 30 days.
Yeah.
You think you're up for this?
Yeah.
And he was. And my second year with Operation Turkey, we had Austin and we had St. Marcus, and we put out 500 meals in 30 days
Very
in
cool.
St.
That's
Marcus.
the birth of city number two.
That was a birth of city number 2.
Very cool.
Like I'm just getting my feet wet. Like
Yeah. This is your first full year like on your own, basically, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And now I'm opening up another city outside of Austin. Like, all right, let's go. So the next year, we opened up a location in Dallas.
Okay.
Just got a random call from someone wanted to open up a location in Dallas. And sure, let's put out 1,000 meals. They met the challenge and did it, put out 1,000 meals. So now we had 3
in Dallas,
locations.
1,000 meals.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
A friend of mine moved from Austin to Houston. And I told him, why don't you take Operation Turkey with you?
Yeah.
Just open it up in Houston there. He put out 1,000 meals in Houston again, so still growing. Also, that same year, we also got Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Okay.
My first out-of-state
Yeah.
location.
Right.
So what's interesting, though, is the person in St. Marcus, when I opened that up, I hadn't met them. I just had a phone conversation with them. When I talked to the person in Dallas, didn't meet them, just had a phone conversation with them. Houston, I knew. Colorado Springs, no clue about. This lady approached me and said she did Operation Turkey in Dallas. And she wanted to start Operation Turkey in Colorado
her
Springs.
interactions from a plant already. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Wow.
I'm like, okay, I better tighten up my board a little bit more because it seems like this thing is about to just explode, which is great.
Yeah.
So from there, we went on to North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, all these other cities and states, and we got up, I'm sure we were over 30 cities in 7 states for some time. California, there's another one. And we got up to 75,000 meals.
One meal in year 1 to 70,000 before the world shut down.
Yes, before the world shut down, we got up to 75,000 meals, and we were pushing about 35,000 volunteers. Not a single person paid. Every dollar that we raised went towards the cost of food. You know, everything that we did was just perfect. Well, it wasn't perfect. It's chaos.
Yeah. I was like, that feels more believable. Yeah.
Yes.
I like that,
Now, I'm not going to sit here and make you think that this whole thing is smooth because it takes a lot to make this happen. I mean, like the number of phone calls that are made, the number of people that are talked to, the number of times that you're told no, and you keep going back for it.
Yeah.
You know?
Tell me about when you add on a new city. You were saying that you have kind of a pitch that you give people, or a challenge that you give to people to make sure like they're up for what is really required. Talk me through that process, how you like identify people.
So I'll tell you this, whenever I have those conversations with people, I look for some of those things in me or what I would aspire to be. And if those things are there, I think it's going to be a pretty good working relationship. And so far, it has. So, you know, number one, are you truly wanting to help people? And if you're not truly wanting to help people, then your motivation is not, what motivation do you have?
Right.
You know, and if it's something else, I really don't want it. You know, this organization has a specific mission, and that's to provide meals to the homeless and less fortunate on Thanksgiving Day, one day out of the year. And that's it. And as long as you're on board with that and you're willing to do whatever it takes to get that done, then cool, we can work with that. And those are the type of people that we have, you know, right now in those different cities. So my conversation with them is really just getting to know them, who they are, what they like to do, you know. I don't care what your actual job is, what you do to pay your bills, because you have a different mindset when you do that versus when you do this. You know, I don't want you thinking that this is a job. A job, you're gonna stop at 5 o'clock. You know, if they're paying you from 8 to 5, you're gonna do what? Work 8 to 5 and be done.
Sure.
But when you're not getting paid and it's all on you and like your character and who you are as a person, it's a whole different story. And I think you get a whole different breed of people who proudly call themselves volunteers.
Yeah. So tell me then, so if not if I'm a city leader, but I'm showing up to volunteer on Thanksgiving. This sounded like the kind of organic nature of this, of how like teams, start adding people to different stations and so on. If I just like show up and I want to volunteer, what does that like Thursday morning look like?
When you show up Thanksgiving Day, it's a crazy experience. First thing we're going to do is we're going to tell everybody to come over, look for the brown shirts. These brown shirts are your leaders. Nobody else gets this color shirt except for the leaders. Everybody else, we have the orange, the maroon, UT colors, A&M colors. Loved it when we used to have that rivalry and made things so much more fun. But anyway, I'm getting off track. But anyway,
back, maybe.
So anyway, we tell everybody, all right, these are your people. Look for people with brown shirts. They're going to be your leaders today. If you have a problem, find a brown shirt, find us. Cool. After that, we're going to tell everybody, look around you. Look at all these people that are here. They're here to do the exact same thing that you're doing. We're about to have a lot of fun. We're about to feed a lot of people. So before you get in there and you start doing any work, look to your left, look to your right, look at these people and give them a hug. And we make everybody hug. And it just immediately it cuts that chisel that's, been there all morning. After we do the hug, and everybody's kind of feeling a little bit energized now. They feel the power of all these people that are here, and they're excited about what are they going to be doing. We look for leaders out of the audience. Some people that have done it before, some people that just want to be leaders or know that they're a leader, whatever. Come up. Get all those people together. And then we start telling them to, all right, I need you to go over there, get all of those turkeys, all of those smoked turkeys, take them inside, start deboning them. Get you 40, 50 people, go take care of that now. Then we do the same thing. We go with the corn. You go get 30, 40 people that can open a can of corn and take them back and start opening up those cans of corn and heating them up. Same thing, green beans, the yams, the stuffing, the mashed potatoes, pie, the whole Thanksgiving meal. Once people are inside and they start cooking and stuff, we tell the other people that are there that you're about to have the most important job of this whole operation. And it's going to be about an hour, 30 minutes to an hour before you start your job, but we need you to hang out. And those people do what we call the line. And the line represents each person that goes through, because we have an assembly line set up inside, so each person that gets a plate and they go through this assembly line and fill up those plates, they're doing that on behalf of somebody that could not be there. We are looking to feed the hardest hit people, the ones that can't make it to the soup kitchens or whatever else where people go and get fed. We want the hardest hit. We want the homeless, we want the less fortunate, but we'll feed anybody. We have no qualifications for any of the meals that we provide to people. All you got to do is ask for one. We've got delivery drivers that line up down the streets. Right here on 6th Street here in Austin, when we used to do it on Thanksgiving Day, we used to be at a bar over here called Bikinis. You can edit bikinis out. But we used to be at a bar here on 6th Street, and the bar is close to Congress. And it would be amazing when you would walk outside and everything's going and stuff, and you're looking to see how many delivery drivers you got. And all the way down 6th Street, I think 6th Street is 4 lanes wide, if I'm not mistaken. All 4 lanes, it's just a sea of cars that are ready to go feed these people. So
I get like chills just like imagining
it's crazy. And then,
especially what 6 is known for.
Exactly, exactly.
You're gonna go serve Austin. It's so
exactly,
cool.
And so if you have kids, this is one of my favorite things. The kids also have a part in Operation Turkey. They get to draw hand turkeys on the clamshell containers that we provide to the people with meals. And so they get to write like a little happy Thanksgiving message. Some of the parents take turns like watching the kids, and then while the others go and volunteer. And everybody that comes in there through that line gets a plate from a kid. And these kids are amazing. One of the times, it was the day before Thanksgiving, we have a turkey tailgate.
Okay.
And this is where we smoke all of these turkeys. This year we smoked over 40,000 pounds of turkey. And that was for 50,000 plus meals. So imagine at 75,000, it was in the 50s, 60s.
Right.
A lot of turkey. So anyway, this was a really bad year. And I was on my phone constantly, like every city was having problems. And, you know, at the tailgate, I want to get out and I want to have fun. You know, we've got some people serving some drinks, you know, we're seasoning the turkeys. There's all these different things going on, clothing donations coming in, pies, all this stuff. And I like to be a part of that and like, you know, do as much as I can. And here I am stuck on this phone at this computer for hours. And I was frustrated, and finally one of the leaders came in and she was like, just take a break, Brian, just put the phone down, I'll answer it for you, just go outside and get some fresh air. So cool. And when I walked outside, there were all of these kids that had done Operation Turkey for all of these years with me that were now like in middle school and high school, and they were running the freaking event.
Oh, wow.
They were telling the adults what to do when things were ready. Do this, let's put this over here, let's organize that. I was like, holy cow.
That's incredible.
This is pretty freaking cool.
How powerful
like,
is that? Yeah.
You know, I had no idea that this was making that kind of impression, you know, on kids and adults alike. Adults were happy to be bossed around by the kids.
Yeah.
The kids were having a great time doing something positive, and I mean, it was amazing seeing kids out there helping out with this.
That's incredible. No, that was one of my questions, like when we first met, and I don't know, we chatted for a couple hours. I think your phone rang every 2 or 3 minutes. Like it just sat there and vibrated, right? It was the whole couch. And I was wondering, like, are there windows or moments where you get to go enjoy what's happening? Like, are you able to appreciate the scale of this? Do you get in front of people as meals are handed out? Is there anything where you're like, you personally?
So on Thanksgiving Day, one thing I do tell the leaders is that everybody that's here has been waiting all year to do something with Operation Turkey. We've done everything that we could possibly do to get it to this point. Now it's about volunteers and scale.
Yeah.
And you need to sit back and let them do what they do Thanksgiving Day.
That's cool.
It's hard to do.
Yeah.
You know, even at that point, you know, we want to jump in and do things, but we have to remind ourselves, you know, we've got thousands and thousands and thousands of people that want to come out and touch something and do something and be a part of that number.
Yeah. That's incredible. I love that perspective. It seems so core to like who you are, how you run this organization, this kind of others first, you know, allowing people to be a part of these moments. It's incredible.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I mean, how they step up when you ask them to be leaders, and they do it, you know. Yeah. I mean, let people do what they're good at. Yeah. You know, and they'll give you their best. Yeah. And we're asking for very simple, you know, you don't have to worry about.
You make it accessible to so many people. Yeah,
exactly.
I love it. Do you have any numbers like top of mind, like you've already mentioned, you know, 50,000 people served this year and all that, but just that can help people understand the scope and scale of this a little bit? You said 40,000 pounds of turkey, right? Yeah. Like, do you have anything else like that at top of mind so people can understand how complex, like?
So this year it was 40,000 pounds of turkey. It was about 23,000 pounds of corn and 23,000 pounds of green beans. I couldn't even tell you how much potatoes. It was probably about 18,000 pounds. So far to date, I think we are slowly closing in on about 500,000 meals served since day one. Kind of backing up a little bit, we were talking about my childhood and stuff, and growing up, I didn't know that we were not rich people. That means we're on the other side of the spectrum. Use whatever term that you want. But, you know, we had a great time, and we used to grow a garden and stuff, and to me that was fun stuff. planting stuff, watching it grow, and then getting to eat it. My grandmother, she used to go down to the river and she would fish for catfish with a cane pole. Like, I remember all these things, and go hunt. I mean, it's little things like that that have kind of helped made what we are and kind of the things that I stick to. But when I do those events, I like to bring some of that flavor of what I grew up with, and like we do wild game dinner, where we go out and we get some wild game, and we have some of the high-end restaurants cook that up and serve these incredible 5-course, 7-course meals to people with something that they've probably never had before in their life and didn't know tasted so good. We go to Alaska every year, and we'll spend a couple of weeks up there, and we'll fish the entire time. And we'll come back and we do a dinner at one of my favorite restaurants here in town. And that one sells out. Like, whenever I put that on the calendar and tell everybody, hey, the link's open, that thing sells out within about a week. And all of the money that we make from that goes to Operation Turkey. So we don't take money even from that. This is our trip that we pay for with our own money.
Wow.
Go out, do it, get all the fish, bring it back, and then have this dinner. So literally the money that the people pay for this goes straight to it.
Yeah. It's just so impressive, and obviously we don't have the time to cover all the scale and scope of everything that goes into pulling off what you do, but I think, like, on the other side of you, I'm not sure how aware of it you are if you think about this, but like you're living a unique story. You're leaving a unique legacy. Most people are not making the impact in their day-to-day lives that you are, and through so many people I know. And so I always get curious, like, listening to somebody who's doing something as special as you are, thinking about, like, have you always been this way? Is this a result of, like, I was born, or the environment I grew up in, or so on? And that's why we were talking a little bit about, like, your childhood and so on. You said, big family, there was this resourcefulness, but I'm curious, like, what was your family dynamic like, growing up? How much of this do you feel like I always had this kind of, like, heart, to serve people versus, like, it's something that developed in my environment? Or
Yeah, it was definitely, I would definitely say I'm a product of my environment. Growing up, I had 10 aunts and uncles just on my mom's side. That was crazy growing up with, all of those family members. I could pretty much go anywhere that I wanted to go. There's most likely gonna be some family there. I can stay with them, I can have fun, do whatever. Like, we used to have, there's movies made about this now, but like in the Black culture, Sundays were big, and Sunday dinner was big. And every Sunday, no matter where any of the family was, they would always congregate at my grandmother's house. Every Sunday, 1 o'clock, you knew that there was going to be food on the table and everybody's going to have some fun. So I grew up with mostly my grandmother most of the time. My mom was actually going to college and doing all these things with other people going to college too. She would literally drive a bus from, like, Bastrop to Brenham to take people to Blinn Junior College and stuff so they can get, educated also. And so by that happening, I grew up with my grandmother. And I remember her coming home some nights and stuff from work and starting that Sunday dinner. And everybody in our family was also very helpful too. They're all masters and doctorates and just, like, go-getters, and they helped each other. And it was just a big, huge network of very helpful people that were concerned and cared, that I guess kind of molded me into, what I am. I care, I want to help. I know that I can only do so much. I think a good network is, what everyone needs, and just to be able to have something to fall back on and get some help whenever you need some help, and with some of that good help where there's no questions asked. You need some help? Tell me what you need. That's about the only question you should ask.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's amazing. Well, that does. I mean, it feels like what's modeled for you or normalized. Because I mean, listening to you, I mean, I've listed those things already, but the leanness of the organization, you know, that you run, and then your heart for people, advocating for people that like, I'm going to give all of this on top of making a living. Like this is all extra, you know, that like advocating for, and then these, you know, these leadership skills that you have, they like come together, coalesce in this really unique combo. But to some extent, you're saying, hey, that's my family. That's learning from a lot of different people in my family. To some extent, that's kind of you know what I grew up seeing modeled, I think is fair to say. Then after high school, I mean, you've been all kinds of different places professionally, right? What's like a quick rundown of like, a whole bunch of different college?
Yeah. So job-wise, I've always had a job. My first job was actually a lawn mowing service. So from there, I got a job working for McDonald's.
Okay.
Also, while I was in high school, I joined the fire department.
Okay.
And I became a volunteer
Still
firefighter.
while you're in high school?
While I was still in high school.
Okay. Yeah.
I did not like to, I hate even saying this, and I know I'm gonna get criticized for it, but I hate reading books.
Oh, yeah.
I love talking to people.
Okay, yeah.
I love experiences, but I hate reading a book. I don't wanna read about what somebody else did. I wanna try it myself. And,
Wow.
you know, that person survived
Yeah.
when they did whatever it was they did.
Yeah.
I wanna try it myself and see, you know, what skill set and mindset it takes to get it done and stuff. So I became a firefighter. I knew that like, I wanted to do certain things in my life, and firefighter was one. The opportunity was there. What better time?
Yeah.
So everything from grass fires, forest fires, you know, all the way to extracting people from cars and, you know, all the other things that come with that and stuff. So, you know, experiencing things like, you know, death and stuff, but having people there to support you and stuff, like, and seeing it with your own eyes instead of being sheltered from it. You know, I think kids have more capacity than you think to process and analyze things and get over them, you know, as long as you're truthful with them. I did learn a lot from being a firefighter.
Yeah.
And in the true spirit of what I am, I saw it as helping people, you know, and I kept that perspective of what it was all the way through doing that. I also joined the military while I was still in high school. And
I didn't realize that was high school too.
I had to have my mom sign a piece of paper with me because I signed up for high school, or signed up for the military. I graduated high school at 17. I turned 18 that June, and I left for the military that August.
Okay.
So did my military time, whole nother batch of stories there. You know, lots of fun, lots of trouble, you know. But it was all fun. I'm still here, not in jail somewhere overseas. But from there, I was sitting on the dock one day, and our commanding officer comes over and he asked me, what do I want to do, basically with my life and stuff, like what's next, you know, military, what's going on? And I told him that I wanted to go to school and go to college. And he's like, oh yeah, what school? And I told him Texas A&M, and he was like, oh yeah, I went to Texas A&M, I graduated from there. He's like, my daughter's going there now. It's like, if you send them an application and get accepted, I'll let you out early with if you join the reserves and go to college. I was like, all right, sound like a fair deal. Let me try. So I applied, and I got accepted into A&M. He held to his word. I left and the active duty military, started going to school at A&M, and I joined the reserves, and I did that for, I tell you, 88 hours in college credits, working 11 o'clock at night to 7 in the morning from Sunday to Thursday, going and doing 2 weekends a month with the military, and well, going to college.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I didn't have it easy throughout college, but I finally had to stop college when I was at home one day, and I woke up and I answered the phone as I was at the gas station, as if I was at the gas station. And I was like, wow, I really just said, thank you for calling Shell. How can I? So I was like, all right, I got to stop for a minute. I'm doing way too much. Like, things are overlapping. So I stopped working there, and I moved to Austin. I was actually living in Austin at the time, and I got a job offer with, here, I'm telling on myself now. I got a job offer from a strip club here in town. And they're like, oh, you want to come do security? Sure, I'll go do security. So started doing security over there, and they're like, oh, how would you like to become a manager? Sure, I'd like to become a manager. More money? Sure, let's go.
You're proving on multiple lifetimes, thesis here.
College? What is college?
McDonald's law and firefighter military.
Exactly. I took a little turn there. I took a little turn there for a second. So I had a girlfriend at the time, and she did not like it when I became a manager at the. Who would have thought? I'm making good money. So I got a job with the owners of the club. They bought a music hall here in town.
Okay.
And I started running security for them at this hall, and. From there, it was a lot of fun times working there. And the girl and I broke up. I was studying too much for this new job that she asked me to get. I got a job with this one company and started working, and I came in as a salesman and was always number 2, number 3 salesman, never was number 1. And I started working. One of the managers at that company approaches me, and she tells me that, hey, some math is not adding up on the amount that you all are getting bonused at. So looked into it and found a discrepancy, and little old me, as an entry-level person into this major corporation, went and talked to upper management and basically told them that they need to fix this. And they need to not only fix it to where it's good for the future, they need to go back and retro it. And so they did it, and this was for about 300 people. They retroed it back for like 2 years, and I became a part of a team several years later where we moved business over to India.
Okay.
Huge deal, like $125 million 7-year business deal to move all this business over there. And I was one of the top people in making that happen. And lived over in India for about 6 months, moved business over there, took care of every single person, gave them some crazy perks from being laid off due to outsourcing and all this other stuff. And then when I got back from India, they asked me to be in charge of quality, and nothing to, anybody, but at the time, what we were considering quality here was not the level of quality that they were capable of giving back there. And so you're putting me in a position, because you haven't listened to everything that I've said before, you're putting me in a position to where now I'm gonna fail. Your bar is set here, and the bar is here. And that bar is not moving from here to here for a while. Right. It's there now.
Right.
No question about it.
Yeah.
But you're setting me up for failure. So I left the company, got another job with a local company in Austin, and I'll never forget, the previous company called me back up and asked me to go to lunch, and they asked me, hey, so we're doing this new thing called insourcing. I'm like, oh, really? really? So they were like, they asked me if I would go back to India and move the business back. And I told them, well, in order for me to do that, you're gonna have to give me a blank check, and you're not gonna like the amount that I'm gonna write into it. So, you wanna give me a blank check? Sure, let's talk. And that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still have to work today.
Still have to work today. I like the bold move though. I mean, it's worth a try.
I mean, hey, how much do you really want this?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I know how much that first deal was worth. I know how much this one should be worth.
That's
So,
incredible.
But from there, I went on to another company that sells project management software. Great company. I rode the wave through that company from them being a $30 million a year company to $1 billion plus a year. That was a great time learning from.
Good wave, yeah.
Yeah, learning from, you know, that small company status or medium size, I guess at that time, all the way to this large, you know, corporation thing. And then now I'm working for this one company that's helping students graduate college.
Wow.
And
cool.
yeah, this company is at its start, and I'm having a very good time doing that. But I always loved, like I said, doing things that help people. So even at this company, I'm able to help my employees and help the people, our customers. So just what I like to do. So
Yeah.
that pays my
It's
bills now.
consistent in everything you do. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, like I said, it's so evident in that recap. I mean, there's just so much that it's like you're like, I even like the book thing you said, like, I'm just gonna go do it. Like there's this like resourcefulness, I'm gonna learn, I'm gonna figure it out, I've got grit, and it's inspiring on the other side of you as you know you connect all those dots. And I'm curious, just to kind of close, like to ask our guests this. You've been a part of some really meaningful things. You've created some really meaningful things. Somebody who is, you know, trying to be a part of something bigger than themselves. They're trying to pursue a dream or a passion. They're trying to help somebody get something off the ground, and you know, struggling with the next step type thing. What would you say to somebody? What's inspired you, perhaps, or what would you say to somebody that's trying to pursue something meaningful in their own story?
I'd say the number one thing is to know your limitations and don't deny those and stuff. I know my limitations and stuff, and I make fun of them all the time with all of my leaders and stuff because I just can't do it. You know, I'm not going to sit there and play around that. But those things that I am good at, guess what? I'm going to do every single bit of that. Wow. And growing Operation Turkey from what it was to what it is now, a lot of the work that you do is just that, the work that you do. I had a lot of people that were around me to help and to get things done, but in the end, I was the one that was making those phone calls, negotiating those deals, and utilizing them somewhat. If I had the level of smartness that I have now, back then, I definitely would have brought them on a lot sooner because I didn't start preaching the whole thing about duplicating and triplicating yourself until later on. So I probably could have been even further than where I am now if I would have trusted people more to help me out and get things done. But in the end, if you say that something's going to get done, you got to think to yourself that you're going to end up being the one to get it done unless you've got some good people that are going to help you out and help you get it done. And so far, I've got about 40,000+ people that want to help get this done.
That's unbelievable. Yeah, that's so significant. Yeah, I just feel so grateful for this combo. Like I feel grateful having just the opportunity to meet you. I'm thinking about your impact is not even just the 500,000. That's an enormous number you're approaching of meals served. But I think about all the volunteers that were then a part of that. In addition, you've impacted their lives and the people to just hear the stories of what Operation Turkey does. And that's only one avenue of your life. You have so many other avenues where you've impacted people. So I'm really grateful for your time. I know firsthand, with the phone ringing nonstop, how busy you are and how in demand you are. So really appreciate you sitting down with us. I know you've inspired a lot of people through this combo too. So.
I appreciate you having me here and listening to this story. I don't get to tell it a lot. Actually, my fiance hears it quite often. But
Yeah.